Hey everyone. I've been thinking about something lately, and it's really something very simple, but it's something that I feel really needs to be talked about. Um, Probably the majority of the people watching this video are Christians, and even if you're not, uh, doesn't matter, although this is mainly intended towards Christians. Um, I just want to address something. I was watching a few things recently that were dealing with. It was an atheist show, and basically they had all these different Christian callers calling in, and these people who were calling in had barely even read their Bibles, and the atheists knew that Christians, most of them don't read their Bibles anyways, so they can't expect good answers for any of their objections or anything. And as I was thinking about it, you know, I know it's true. Most professed Christians do not read their Bibles. So, this is what I wanted to bring forward to all of you. If you're claiming to be a Christian, and if you're claiming that this book here is inspired by God, and yet you have not taken the time to read it, ask yourself what that sounds like to a non believer. Doesn't that just show to them that you don't really care? Doesn't that just show to them that, oh, this person is claiming that this book is inspired by God and that they're running their lives based off of this book, and yet they're not reading it? Can't you see how inconsistent that seems? And not only does it seem inconsistent, it actually is inconsistent. It's a terrible thing, actually. And here's the question, and you already know the answer, but it needs to be asked anyways. As someone who says you're a Christian, and if you don't read your Bible, who is moving you forward in that direction? As in, if you believe that there's a God and there's a devil, who is keeping you from reading the Bible? And I'm pretty sure you know that's a pretty obvious answer. Um, so, yeah, this is the thing. It's just you need to really take the time to read your Bible, because what is it? What is this whole thing? If you're just gonna not take the time to really pray, not take the time to really search the scriptures, what is this whole thing about? Is being a Christian for you just kind of something on the side? What are you doing instead of reading the Bible? Are you just watching TV or going on the internet or playing video games or doing whatever you're doing? What is that saying? Isn't that, isn't what you're doing there having your life? You have your goals, maybe you have your career, you want to spend all your time with your family, which that's good, right? But if you're spending all your time just focusing on your family, or your family and your career and your video games and your entertainment and your whatever, reading magazines or novels or whatever the case is, and yet you're saying you're a Christian, even if, let's say, you read all these Christian books or whatever, right? What are you really doing? Aren't you just saying that, okay, your life is this? You have your life, you have your priorities, your main thing you want to do, and being a Christian for you is just something on the side, isn't it? And you have to, like, I'm just saying this because it's a serious thing. You have to come to terms with your own self in order to recognize what needs to be done. Like, if you're going to say that God is the most important thing to you, if you're going to say that you die, for Christ or something like that, how can you say that if you're not even living for Christ? And how can you say that if, what can you bring forward to show that that's true, right? Should not we have evidence of our faith? We should bear fruits to the Lord. And if we're just wasting our time, like really just doing the things of this world, just calling ourselves Christians and going to church every week, what's that really saying? If we're just, it's just riding the train, so to speak, but the train won't carry on to you too long if you're not going to make some sort of commitment to the Lord. And I'm not saying that to bring you to a point of saying, I'm going to read my Bible for 10 minutes every day, or I'm going to read my Bible for, I'm not even going there. What I'm saying is you need to have a whole change of heart, a whole change of spirit. And it's not something you can bring about yourself. It's something that the Lord brings about in you, but you have to be receptive to it. You have to ask the Lord for it. And the truth of the matter is, the Lord is already trying to bring that forward in you, right? He's already trying to bring you closer to Him and to get you to read His Word. And what needs to happen is a realization and a recognition of the fact that the reason why you aren't doing it is because there's still a part of you that is fighting against God, that really doesn't want to have to deal with it. You'd rather just do your career. You'd rather just, plan out your day and do, your entertainment, watch your movies or your TV shows or play your games or whatever it is, right? And I don't say this to offend anyone, but that's the truth, isn't it? And those of you who are watching this, who know that this is the case for you, I mean, you know that it's the truth. If you are a Christian who is not really reading this, let's say an atheist comes to you, or just an unbeliever in the Bible, and says, well, how long have you been a Christian, right? And you've been a Christian for 10 years, or 20 years, or 30 years, or 5 years, or whatever, right? You've been a Christian for any number of years, or whatever. And they're like, oh, you've been a Christian for that long. How many times have you read the Bible? If you've been a Christian for a number of years and you haven't even read the Bible once, what is that saying? Ask yourself, are you a real Christian? Are you a true Christian? Is this some emotional, sentimental trip for you? Are you just, were you raised a Christian and you just don't have a reason to deny the faith, and you honestly do believe it's true, but you're just not really there. You're just not really, maybe you consider yourself still a baby Christian, right? Which a lot of people out there are quote unquote baby Christians, right? But is that any excuse or any reason to stay there? We're supposed to be mature in the Word. Of course, we're to be like little children and when it comes to trusting God and having faith and everything, but we're supposed to understand the Bible. It's been given to us for a reason. We're supposed to actually study to show ourselves approved unto God. We're supposed to really take the Word and eat it up. And if you're not doing that, what are you eating up? John says, by beholding, we become changed. If you have not even taken enough time to behold the word of the Lord, enough to read it once, in however long you've been a Christian, and I understand for those of you who are newer Christians, right? Perhaps you just haven't had the time to read the whole Bible. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about those of you who have had the time to read the whole Bible. And again, it's not just about, oh, I've read the whole Bible. It's not just about that. It's actually diving into it and taking the time to really absorb it and really just get into the Word, trying to understand it and pleading with God to, speak to you and to allow you to hear His voice. And, that's developing a true relationship. If you think that you're developing a true relationship by sitting around and reading Christian devotional books and all these, listening to Christian radio and praise music and all that stuff, I'm not saying that all that stuff is bad by any means. I'm just saying that if you are doing all of that to the neglect of the Word, what is that telling you? What is that really saying? And, I could probably go on repeating this and coming at it from different angles for a long time. So I'm going to kind of stop here, but I hope you get the point. I really hope that you take it to heart. I hope that you take the time to really read this book, to really read the Bible. You know, it's actually a very, very simple thing. It's that our minds don't want to get into it because it's foreign to us. It's foreign to us. It's our minds are carnal. We're worldly. We're, just human minds that want to do our own thing, but it's just, this has true wisdom in it. This has true understanding, true knowledge, true peace, everything. And don't let the devil keep you in your little track that you're on and just keep you, having enough Christianity in your life to make you feel good. It's not about how you feel. I'm sorry, it really isn't. It's not about how I feel either. I'm not trying to say that against you. I'm just saying it's not about how we feel. It's, you know, it's a far bigger picture than that. And you won't even be able to come close to understanding the picture unless you get into this book. And if you think that you can slip into heaven without really getting to know the Lord through His Word, you're making a grave mistake, a serious mistake. And those of you out there who may be watching this who aren't Christians, you've probably read the Bible more than those who are claiming to be Christians have. Because I know a lot of people out there who aren't Christians do read the Bible because they want to know what they're talking about, right? But even so, let's say you're not a Christian, you may not have read the Bible. I really encourage you as well, read it. Really read it with an open heart and an open mind. And I know that, maybe it'll seem boring because it's this long compilation of ancient literature, whatever. But, aren't you a little bit curious as to what this whole thing's about? This is everyone now, whether you're a Christian or atheist or anything, Shouldn't we want to know what's in here? Especially those of you who claim to believe that this is the book that outlines how you're supposed to live your life and that this is the book that was inspired by God. If this book is truly inspired by God, you haven't read it, you're really not going to read it, you're really going to just let it sit there on the shelf gathering dust. Isn't that just letting you know that you don't really believe that this is inspired by God? You may theoretically believe it. That's a different thing. You may acknowledge it in your mind, but do you really put your trust in the fact that this is inspired by God? Do you really believe it? Do you really live it? And if you don't, what's that saying? Anyways, as I said before, time to end the video. Blessings to you all. I hope you take it to heart. Again, please, comment, message me if you want to discuss anything. I'm open for talking. So, anyways, blessings.